A few years ago, 3 friends and I decided to go camping deep in the Appalachian Mountains. Not an actual campground. We wanted somewhere isolated. No cabins, no tourists, no other people around for miles. At the time, it sounded fun. Now I can't even look at photos from that trip. There were 4 of us in total. Me, my friend Aaron, his cousin Tyler, and a guy named Nate, who claimed he knew the area really well. According to Nate, there was an old trail leading to the clearing near a creek about 6 miles into the forest. He said barely anyone went there anymore. That should have been the first warning. The hike started normally enough. The woods were beautiful at first. Huge trees, fog hanging low between the hills, the sound of water somewhere in the distance. But after about 2 hours, I noticed something strange. The forest was quiet. Not a peaceful quiet, but dead quiet. No birds, no insects, nothing. Even our first steps sounded wrong somehow, like the woods were swallowing the noise. I remember joking about it to Aaron, but he admitted he noticed it too. Nate just shrugged it off and kept walking. Around sunset, we reached the clearing. It was a small, maybe 30 feet across, surrounded by thick trees on every side. A narrow creek ran nearby, and in the middle of the clearing, there was an old stone fire pit filled with wet leaves. That part bothered me. If nobody camped there anymore, why was there still a fire pit? But we were already exhausted, so we set up a camp anyway. For the first couple hours, everything felt normal. We made food, talked, listened to music quietly from a speaker. Eventually the fire burned low, and one by one everyone crawled into their tents. I stayed awake longer than the others. I never slept well outdoors. Around midnight, I heard whistling. Faint, far away. At first I thought it was the wind moving through the trees, but then I realized it was a tune. Somebody was whistling an actual melody somewhere in the forest. I sat up immediately. The sound was distant enough that I couldn't tell what direction it was coming from. It lasted maybe 10 seconds before stopping completely. I almost woke the others, but honestly, I didn't want to sound paranoid. So eventually I laid back down. About an hour later, it happened again. Same tune, except much closer this time. I unzipped the tent slightly and looked outside. The fire was nearly dead, barely glowing red in the darkness. The trees behind the camp looked completely black. Then the whistling stopped abruptly. Like whoever was making it realized I was listening. I didn't sleep much after that. The next morning I asked if anyone else heard it. Aaron nodded immediately. He thought it sounded like someone walking through the woods while whistling to themselves. Nate insisted it was probably another camper. But Tyler looked genuinely nervous, because during that night, someone had moved his backpack. None of us admitted to touching it. At first we thought somebody was messing with us, but then we noticed the footprints. There were muddy tracks circling the campsite, not hiking boots, bare feet. I still remember how strange they looked. The steps were too spread apart, like whoever made them had unusually long legs. Aaron wanted to leave right then. Nate convinced us we were overreacting. He said we already hiked too far to turn back early. I wish we had ignored him. The second night was worse. Way worse. The woods became quiet around sunset. No wind. No animal sounds. Nothing. Then sometime after dark, the whistling came back. Only now it was coming from a different direction. First somewhere far out to our left, then deeper in the woods behind us. Then off near the creek, same exact tune every time. Like multiple people were repeating it to each other through the trees. At one point, Aaron flashed his flashlight toward the forest, and for maybe a half a second, we saw eyes reflecting back. High off the ground, higher than the normal person's head. The eyes disappeared the second the flashlight beam hit them. Nobody spoke after that. We just sat there silently around the fire listening. Around 3 a.m., we finally crawled into our tents. That's when we heard footsteps again. Slow footsteps circling the camp. Leaves and sticks snapping one at a time. The footsteps moved carefully around the tents without stopping. None of us moved. None of us even spoke. Then the whistling started again, right beside the tent. Not distant anymore. Close enough that it sounded like a person was standing inches away from us. Tyler panicked. Before any of us could stop him, he unzipped the tent and shined the flashlight outside. Nothing. No person. No movement. But hanging from the tree branch near the fire pit was our metal cooking pot, swinging slowly back and forth. The sound echoed through the clearing. I don't think any of us slept after that. The second the sun started coming up, we packed everything and left. Nobody even ate breakfast. We just wanted out of those woods. But after hiking for nearly 3 hours, we realized something was wrong. We kept passing the same fallen tree. Some broken trail marker. Same creek bend. At first we thought we were imagining it. Then Aaron pointed at the symbol carved into one of the trees. A circle with a line through it. He scratched it there earlier that morning to mark our direction. We somehow walked into a massive loop. Panic hit us immediately. Nate kept insisting we were just turned around, but even he looked scared now. It took another 4 hours before we finally found the trail leading back to the parking lot. And when we got there, all 4 doors on Nate's car were open. The inside smelled damp, like wet dirt. Nothing had been stolen, nothing broken, but muddy footprints covered the seats and floorboards. Like someone had been sitting inside waiting for us. None of us ever went camping together again. Tyler refuses to talk about the trip entirely. And sometimes late at night, when everything's quiet, I still catch myself listening to the whistling outside.